We're through with round one of the NFL draft, so we're going to be talking about the winners and the losers that happened on day one before we head into day two, right here on the Fast Draft channel. Let's go ahead and say the quiet part out loud. Not really quiet anymore. Shedeur Sanders fell out of the first round, and he's our first loser. It's Jover, folks. Maybe, maybe not. Let's put it this way. He's either going to be a Cleveland Brown who has the 33rd pick in this draft, or he's really done. The Steelers could get him late in the second. There's even an opportunity for the Saints to make a move or something like that, but really hurt his value, especially since the Giants traded back up to get Jaxson Dart, who we'll talk about later. Am I still drafting Shedeur Sanders? If you're in our Origins Chaos tournament, I might super fade him right now until we know he's going to go. I think we only have like 9 drafts left, if not less. So if you want to hop in those last handful of them, I might even avoid him and take some of these other guys that are waiting for spots. Moreover, if he does go to the Browns, I know that Kevin Stefanski has a good offense, but a lot of those weapons around him, with outside of Jerry Jeudy, aren't that good. Cedric Tillman is someone I think that the dynasty community likes a lot more than what I think he can actually produce. Now we go to a winner, Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville traded up for Travis Hunter. I've comped Travis Hunter as a wide receiver to a baby Brian Thomas Jr. These uber athletes that may not be as polished or refined as some of these other receivers, but again, the athleticism makes them the best player on the field at all times. The real question is, what's going to be his snap share? Regardless, I think that we should be excited for Trevor Lawrence in the future because he has the most and best weapons around him in a long time. We could even see Jacksonville draft another guy like a tight end to help out if they don't feel comfortable with Brenton Strange or something. Another mini winner is Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. There's a lot of buzz about them maybe taking Ashton Jeanty, and I think as of right now, they are a lot safer than what some may think, specifically Tank Bigsby at least. This is a make or break year for Jacksonville, particularly Trevor Lawrence, who has the coach. He now has 2 receivers. We just need to see the production. I am excited. I've already bought him everywhere. And now that I see what they've done in the draft, I feel like a lot of that is going to pay off. And this is the year for Trevor Lawrence to finally be worth all that draft capital we've been sinking into him. Our next loser, Emeka Egbuka. I'll put an asterisk or a caveat by here because Emeka Egbuka is still on a great team and he still got drafted in the first round, but I don't think we're going to see that immediate production. Probably in our Origins tournament, if you're going to get in or if you're going to be doing these Flex 4s, especially in Flex 4, you're going to be fading him. In Origins, you might even fade him late in the second round, not because they don't like him, but right now the Buccaneers are in a unique position where they've been competitive. They've been in the playoffs and they don't need him to step up right away. They have Jalen McMillan that could be the next Mike Evans when he decides to retire. And then Chris Godwin's there. And once Chris Godwin's gone, you can easily see the lateral move for them to move over to Emeka Egbuka. This isn't, to me, another JSN situation, maybe Roman Dunze, where there is a little bit of competition ahead of time, but the team is going to take their time and they're just going to get a good player when they can get a good player and not so much worry about when they're going to have them on the field if they have a lot of depth. Do I think this is a good fit? Yes, but I'm certainly concerned about him in the short term and particularly in redraft and best ball this year. Jalen McMillan, I know I keep bringing him up. That's a clear loser to put in here, even though I don't have a fancy card for him. But again, he's someone I might stash and buy cheap if you're a rebuilder and hope that something happens next year. Big winner, Tetairoa McMillan. I know that Todd McShay and a couple other people have been fading him. There's a lot of folks that say he can't separate, yada, yada. I think that he's an adequate receiver in a lot of these comps to Drake London, Mike Evans, and these other big receivers. Let's say even if his floor is Michael Pittman, he's the best receiver for the Panthers right now. And Dave Canales can have someone like he used with Mike Evans and have that similar package for Bryce Young and not ask too much after of Xavier Legette or whoever they have in that receiving core. Does this hurt Legette? Yeah, but I don't think there was any hope that he was going to be a legitimate wide receiver 1 anyway. And if anything, this is going to help him because he could be a wide receiver 2 or tertiary character in this offense. Now, Bryce Young, again, he's kind of in the same situation as Trevor Lawrence, but assuming we could give him a little bit more grace because he's went through a similar tumultuous path like Trevor Lawrence went through. But it is make or break. We want to see him take that third-year leap and take a big step forward now that they can put a real offense around him. Moreover, a real offensive weapon. So if you are fading likes to be called T-Mac, if you're fading T-Mac for any reason, I don't get it. And you probably are eating a little bit of regretty spaghetti at this point. Losers. I got a double whammy here. It is Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton. I think they're going to use them both, and it's going to be incredibly frustrating because people don't like Najee. And for those of us who drafted Najee, they kind of have similar roles and play styles, albeit Omarion Hampton is the superior athlete. I'm not going to argue that. But like I said, it's going to be annoying because both of these guys are going to get carries and they're going to run often. So we're going to see them cannibalize off each other, and they're probably both going to have low-end RB2 floors that are going to be incredibly touchdown dependent. And I kind of wonder who is going to catch passes or if they're going to throw passes to the running back at this point. This helps Justin Herbert, and they do have a good offensive line that's on the come up. So I like the fit long-term from Hampton, especially when you consider that Najee Harris is only on a 1-year deal. This even hurts as a prove-it deal for Najee Harris long-term for Dynasty. So realistically, I think the move here is Najee Harris might get burned early and often. I would try to move him that first 4 weeks when you can to get the most out of him. And then I'd be trying to buy Omarion Hampton if we see him late to get on the field, because a lot of managers in fantasy tend to get impatient, even if they know the context ahead of time, because they start seeing wins and losses going into their columns. I would still probably buy both of these at cost, but I'm definitely fading Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton in our Flex 4 draft going forward. And then lastly, we have our winner, Jaxson Dart. He's another one where I don't think we're going to see him early this year, but I do think he can have that JJ McCarthy treatment where they can slow play him, let Russ go out there, even let Jameis go out there, let him learn a system and get well-rounded and fix a lot of the things that people think he needed to work on and develop, but with an NFL coach and a QB developer like Brian Daboll. Moreover, he has a great receiver, Malik Neighbors, and they could still draft other targets later, maybe pick someone up or trade someone to free agency. Tyrone Tracy's there. This is a great fit for a team that needs to see something out of their offense. They had their cake and they can eat it too by getting Abdul Carter. Now you have a quarterback for the future, albeit not for the right now. So not unlike Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton, Jaxson Dart won't have immediate redraft value right away, but for the long term in Dynasty, I think this is the best situation for him. So he's not thrust into a situation where he could fail and then we have another crash out Kenny Pickett or something like that. And I don't want to use that comp, and I'm using it loosely because I think he's superior to Kenny Pickett. Another underrated aspect of his game is that he does have a little bit of a rushing floor. So he can, I won't say they're going to dial up like a lot of RPOs for him, but he could extend plays, and he's a quarterback who can play in the modern NFL. Well, that'll do it, folks. I gave you 3 winners and I gave you 3 losers with a double whammy of 2 running backs there. I'll have another reaction video for you after day 2 of the NFL draft. But in the meantime, as always, I'm Jagger Main. Love you, and I'll see you on the next one.
So I thought I needed.